When God tell you to do something that sounds crazy, it's not crazy, it's wisdom. Because he's the one that tell you. But if you let your feelings tell you, and your feelings override, and be like, look, I don't feel like it, it's not cutting, then it's not really something that you're doing in wisdom, but you're doing it based off of your emotion. When it comes to being unmoved, unbothered, unfazed, self-awareness is important. When you know yourself and you know how you're feeling and what's going on within you, then you can really embrace confidence and be who God called you to be. Hi ladies, welcome to the Kingdom Women channel. Today we are continuing on our Being Unmoved series. The first video we talked about this woman in the Bible. She was unmoved. It didn't matter what was said to her, what was done to her. She continued on persisting after her commitments and what she wanted, what she desired. That is the outlook of what we want to strive to be. Someone who is unmoved and unfazed, unbothered by our environments. But for us to be unmoved, we have to gain control over our emotions. And that's just a part of it. We must know what affects our emotions. And that's the second video that we went over. We talked about what affected our emotions and how we can stay on top of our emotions in general. We talked about what we consume affects our emotion, the things that we listen to, because faith comes by hearing. The things that we eat can affect our emotions, how we are taking care of our bodies physically. And then also the things that we are watching, those things that we consume can affect our emotions. We went on and talked about how our past can affect our emotions, how important it is to kind of dig through our past so then we can understand why we may be feeling some ways in some situations. And then our thoughts, what we are thinking. The Bible tells us to think on things that's true, noble, just, pure, lovely, of good report, having virtue, anything's praiseworthy. Think on these things. God tells us to think on things that are good for a reason, because when we focus on the things that's good, it affects how we feel rather than what we think when we're thinking on those bad things. So we got the whole 9 in those 2 videos about being unmoved and what affects our emotions. This video, we will be talking about how we can manage our emotions by processing it, okay? Because though we're thinking positivity and we are putting ourselves in an environment where we're consuming in the right things, we are thinking the right thoughts, and we are going through our past, though we have all these good things going on, we still go through life. We're not gonna feel good all the time. Sometimes our emotions can be conflicting, but it's for us to process it and acknowledge it so then we can be able to know what steps we need to take moving forward, okay? I am not encouraging, you being unmoved by making you not feel anything. That's impossible. You're going to feel things. We go through things. It's a daily thing that we feel things, okay? But as an individual, when we feel things, we just cannot let those feelings override our commitments and those desires that we are trying to accomplish. We're working out, and today we don't feel like working out. So I don't feel like working out. So I'm just going to be like, no, I'm not working out no more. Days pass by. I don't feel like. So then years pass by, and then we don't work out and don't take care of our bodies because we don't feel like working out. That's our feelings overriding our commitments. We want to take care of our body. We want to stay healthy, okay? We're going to have to work out. All right, I'm tired today. I don't feel like showering. I don't feel like cleaning up after myself. Well, one day turned into a week. The week turns into so on. And time passed by and we don't feel good about ourselves because we haven't taken care of our bodies. We haven't kept up with our bodies. So now we feel bad about ourselves because we did not take the initiative to commit to taking care of ourselves. This is something that is essential, even with working. working on the job. If we wake up half of the week, we wake up not feeling like going to work. Sometimes it's like that. But what we got to do, we got to go to work. We have to commit and go into work so then we can provide for our families and take care of the things that we need to take care of. And being able to know what we feel, but not allowing our feelings to override our commitments is important. That's why it's important. So today we're just going to talk about how we can manage our emotions, because what you feel is valid, okay? How you're feeling is valid, and it's for you to acknowledge how you're feeling, but not let your feelings override your next step. It can influence it, but not override everything, okay? So let's get into it today. I want to first start off talking about this definition. All right, I have the definition of processing emotions. Processing emotions. It is acknowledging and accepting feelings without discouragement and then learning from them to move forward. I want to start off with this because this is so good. It's so good. I'm going to read it again, okay? So processing emotions. It's acknowledging and accepting feelings without discouraging and then learning from them so you can move forward. This is a good definition because it goes into everything that I was just saying. You're going to feel things. It's not for you to neglect your emotions so then you can be unmoved and unbothered and unfazed. Your emotions are valid, but it is for you to acknowledge your emotions, understand how you're feeling, why you're feeling that way, not discouraging yourself because of your feelings, okay, without discouragement, but taking all of that in and learning from it, seeing how you can move forward after those feelings. The whole purpose, though, is for you to be able to gain control of those emotions, of those feelings, and stay on top of what affects you. And this definition is actually the highlight of the video. When we're going through things, because we will go through things, sometimes we can't just push off our feelings. It's best for us not to push it off. I personally was somebody who would push off my feeling, how I felt about a situation, and based it off of, oh, I'm angry. I'll just get upset and angry when everything occurred, and I really did not know how I felt. But when you take the time to take a step back and acknowledge how you're feeling, you allow yourself to gain emotional intelligence. And that is something God has taught me. And this is having an emotional IQ, acknowledging what you're feeling. It's self-awareness, why you're feeling it. And then also learning from your feelings at the same time. So I have some different examples here that I want to give. Let's get into them. Let's say Maddie finds herself in a relationship with Ben, and Ben is really not treating her properly, okay? Ben is ignoring her, neglecting her, and making it seem like she's the one that's needy. Yet they both decided to be in a relationship and they both committed to each other. They're not in a marriage, okay? But they both committed to each other in this relationship. Why in the world has Ben not speaking to her in a week, not checking on her or anything, but then saying she's the one that's needy? That's a conflict. That's an issue. So here, Maddie can just push it off and just be like, oh, you know what? Like, well, I guess he's busy. I don't want to be needy. I'm going to leave him alone. Here is just an example. Maddie should be able to not push off her emotions and just be like, oh, okay, well, let him be good. No. How are you feeling right now? Well, if I asked Maddie, how are you feeling? Maddie would say, well, I feel like I'm not really being taken care of properly. I feel like I should be checked on. He's going, And then he's saying that I'm the one that is being needy, but yet, we don't communicate or anything. I don't feel good about this. It's okay for Maddie to understand how she's feeling. Maddie should ask herself these things and see how she's doing and understand that she's not really being treated right. If he cared for her, he would check up on her. You get what I mean? And not just push it off and make it seem like she's the issue because I'm getting on somebody's case, but make it seem like she's the issue because she wants to be checked up on. No. Maddie should realize how she feels and then also move forward in the way that fits her. So Maddie understands, I'm not really being treated right. I shouldn't be treated like this. So she has an option. Maddie now has the opportunity to look over her situation so then she can make the steps that will fit her. She could let him know, hey, it's over. I don't really care for how I'm being treated, and she can move on. Or she could talk to him about the situation, and if he don't get it, she can move on. She let him know, hey, Ben, I need to speak with you. Ben, it's been a fun little ride in the beginning, but now you've kind of been a little distant and it's making me worried. I feel like I should be treated properly. I feel like I should be checked on when it comes to me in a relationship with me. I require, I require some face-to-face time. I require to be cared for more than a 2-week time span and then disappearance. No, this is what I need. And if you cannot fit that need for me, I'm going to have to walk another way. Woo! This is such a good example. I don't even know where it came from. But this is Maddie being real. Maddie was able to look at how she felt. She felt neglected. She felt like, and this could even go with her own past circumstance. I'm going a little bit too far, but her own past circumstance with family or her dad, feeling neglected and feeling like, he hasn't been there for her or anything. All of that can go together so well, but it's for Maddie to kind of look at her situation and feel like, understand what she feels so that she can learn from why she feel that way and then move on. Definition of processing emotions: acknowledging and accepting feelings without discouragement. She feel neglect, but don't be discouraged, but learning from them so then she could be able to move forward. That is my first example. It was so good. Let's go on to the next example. So Chloe's at work and she is working day in, day out, nonstop. It's almost like she's feeling like she's burning out. She's burning herself out. Now, should Chloe push off how she feels and feeling unfulfilled in her work? No. But Chloe can acknowledge and take a step back and say, okay, I feel unfulfilled in my work and this is just, it's not cutting it. Like, I need to do something different. It's burning me out, but there's no liveliness in my job. Chloe takes a step back and understand how she feels. Now she could be able to look at her options and see where can she go with this. Should Chloe just, let her feelings override her right away and just call the job the next day and just like, I'm quitting, okay? Like, I've been wanting to do this. I've been wanting to do this. It's done. It's over. I'm not coming in. I'm gonna send y'all a cake. I'm gonna send y'all a cake that says I quit. Have y'all seen the commercial where I thought it was so funny. I was younger, but there was a commercial where this cake, they had, I don't know, something happened, but the girl, she showed up on a job and she had a cake. She brought a cake and it said I quit. And it was so funny. But no, is Chloe gonna just send the cake and be like I quit the next day and let her feelings override her at that moment? No, what she's going to do is Chloe is going to take a step back and look at how she feels, because her feelings is valid. This is her life. She looks at how she feels, and then she takes the steps that is necessary. Maybe I do not like my work right now and it's unfulfilled, but let me continue on working, and in the process of me working this job, let me take the steps and figure out what possibly might be fulfilling for me. What do I want to do in life? She could go online and start searching up different things that she might find herself interested in with work. There's different angles she can go based off of how she feels, but she's not letting her feelings cut off every door. You get what I mean? Where it's to a point where she's not working no more, and she don't know where the money coming in. I mean, unless God done told her to do that, then you do that, okay? When God tell you to do something that sounds crazy, it's not crazy, it's wisdom, because he's the one that tell you. But if you let your feelings tell you, and your feelings override and be like, look, I don't feel like it's not cutting, then it's not really something that you're doing in wisdom, but you're doing it based off of your emotions. So Chloe takes a step back and just like, all right, she starts to set up a plan. I'm gonna be working here for like 2 more months. I'm gonna give myself 2 months to find something new that I want to do. Or I'm just gonna take 3 weeks to really start pursuing something different while I'm working. But she's setting up a plan for herself because of how she felt. So let's go on to the next example. And this next example is a real life example, okay, with me. My nieces and nephews came in town. And, you know, I love my nieces and nephews. I take care of all of them when they come. My first niece, my second niece, they didn't have their hair done. So I wanted to get their hair done, help my sister out because, you know, she's in her own little process right now. So I got Amina's hair done. I did her hair, and then I had to go to the store to do Audrey's hair, the Otis. And I took her to the store, and I was going to let her pick out her hair. I asked Audrey, I said, Audrey, will your mom let you have color in your hair? And she said, yes. So I was like, okay. So I got her the color that she wanted for her hair, and then we left. When we met her mom ended up saying, I told her that we got color, and her mom was like, I told you not to have color in your hair. And Audrey just sat there and was just like quiet. So I'm just like, okay. I left it alone. The mom was like, oh, you know, it's fine. Just do her hair or whatever, you know, because she needed the help. So I'm just like, okay. Then Audrey came with me, and I talked with Audrey, because I know I talked to her right before she picked out her hair, and I asked her, I said, will your mom let you have color in your hair? And then her mom obviously told her and said, hey, before the situation occurred where I asked her to pick out her hair color, her mom already spoke to her about her not having any hair color. So she lied to me, completely lied. So Audrey ended up lying to me. And she was about to get the color in her hair because her mom was just like, oh, just do it. But I had to take the time to speak with Audrey, because in my commitment of her being a child of God, baby girl, you're not finna get your hair done. You're not finna sit here and lie to me and then everything's gonna be okay and you get your hair done. So I had to push past my feelings of feeling bad, because it felt bad telling her, no, you're not getting your hair done. You're gonna go back out of town to your house with your mom, and I'm not about to do your hair. When you come back in town, we're gonna get the right color for your hair, because time ran out. So y'all understand, in that time frame, she only had a day before she was leaving back out of town. So I was like, I'm not doing your hair. When you come back in town, I'm gonna have to get the right color for your hair, and then I'm gonna do it, you know, your hair color. It hurt me to tell her no, that she can't get her hair done, but in my commitment on helping her and teaching her a lesson, I had to tell her no, because you're not about to get whatever you want and you sitting up here lying, and you know your mom told you. Sorry, but the Bible says, honor your father and thy mother. Your mother told you not to. I'm in agreement with her. You're not getting color. So I ended up talking with Audrey, and I had to set a boundary and let her know. And this itself taught her a lesson. It taught her a lesson like, wow, like I should never did that. Now my sister gets to go home with her hair done, and my hair is not that done. It's not as pretty as hers. So that is an example. For my last example, this girl's name is Shayla. Shayla doesn't feel so good about herself in general. She has kind of let herself go. Time has passed. She doesn't dress the way she used to dress when she had nice places to go to. She doesn't take care of herself. She got to the point where she allowed her feelings to override her commitments to taking care of herself, and she just don't. Shayla feels this way about herself, and it got to a point where she goes to work and she sees this girl at work, and she can tell that this girl takes care of herself. This girl always shows up. She's looking nice, hair, nails, everything done. And then also this girl is pretty confident in herself, and she walks with her head up high. Now Shayla don't really feel good about herself, but she also don't feel good about this new girl that that she's working with at her job. So happy and go lucky. Over time, she starts to build up a dislike for her, hatred, a kind of jealousy for her. So she begins to envy her and gets upset and mad that Riley is good. So she decides to sit in that anger and the hatred towards her because she can see that she's taking care of herself and she's not. What should happen? Well, really, Shayla should be looking at herself and evaluating and reevaluating herself. She don't feel good about herself because she's not taking care of herself. She is not dressing up the way she should anymore. She is not tending to her needs, working out. She's not taking care of herself. She should be reevaluating that. And instead of looking at Riley and just being mad at her, like who she thinks she is and why she thinks she could go here and, look at and be happy, instead of being upset with Riley about where Riley is at, she should look at Riley and kind of be inspired by her, or not even look at Riley. She could be inspired by Riley and be like, I need that, I want that. Or she could really just look at herself and be like, I need to do better. I haven't been taking care of myself. Let me start taking the steps to take care of myself. This is why I feel bad. This is why I'm unhappy, because what message am I giving myself? I'm treating myself like I'm nothing. And that's the time when Shayla goes back to God and be reminded of who she is in him and how he values her. And she just began to take the steps to take care of herself. She begins to go to the gym and start working out. She begins to dress up again and just look nice. It doesn't matter where she go. She just begins to look nice and start tending to herself, speaking to herself in the mirror and telling herself that she's beautiful and that she's worth it and that she's valuable. This is what Shayla begins to do. She pushed off that jealousy and that hatred towards somebody else who's somewhere she wants to be, and she begins to work on being where she wants to be. So this is my last example, and I really like this example. It shows Shayla could be stuck in that feeling, and she could very well just decides to be even more angry with more individuals that come around her. That's where she wants to be, but she's not there. She can stay stuck in that feeling and just let her feelings override her, or she can begin to take a step to get out of that feeling, to get out of feeling bad. She can begin to take the steps to begin to work on herself, so then she can get to that place that Riley's at, or someone who is confident. someone who's good in themselves. That is my last example. I gave a variety of so many different situations because when it comes to processing your emotions, there's so many different things that can go into how you're feeling because there's so many different things that happen. But I gave a base of relationships, being able to set a boundary in your relationships, understanding how you feel. I gave an example of being fulfilled in your purpose on your job. I gave an example even with your kids and making sure you have that commitment of being able to teach the child, even though you feel bad, that you're disciplining them. And I also gave the example of just individually as yourself. You see that you're not where you need to be. So, taking those steps to work where you need to be. Today, I just want to encourage you and just encourage my listeners to take the time to manage your emotions, process your emotions. And even if you kind of just done it without knowing before, being intentional and being able to process it, because self-awareness is so important when it comes to being unmoved, unbothered, and unfazed. Self-awareness is important. And when you know yourself and you know how you're feeling and what's going on within you, then you can really embrace confidence and be who God called you to be. Be knowing, and it wouldn't be somebody just coming around you, making you do whatever they want you to do based off of how they treat you or how they're acting because you want to people please. No, you'll be moving based off of what God has said about you because you're grounded within yourself. You have taken the time to do the work and managing how you feel, so then you can take the step forward in the Lord or in your purpose and what you're doing in life in general. You can be able to take the steps forward. That is the end of this video. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.